find your seats. Bring your food and your drinks and find your seats. I will say it looks like we have 2 front row seats up here for anyone who's hiding in the hallway, perhaps. This is wild. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. So this is the pilot episode, the first one of Real Life Revised. So this is a new reading series that was dreamed up by John Strauss, who's wearing the headphones, mostly for his own safety, and myself. And we wanted to throw together an all-genre reading where people only had 5 minutes to be on a microphone, which is insane. It's a very short amount of time, especially for prose writers. The other thing we wanted to do was pull in readers that we had heard from all different parts of the city. This event is supported and the food is made possible by the Butler MFA in Creative Writing. We thank them for their support and also for making John and I the readers and writers that we are. And then I want to shout out Booth, which is the journal put out by Butler MFA, is running a contest right now called the Susan Neville Prize. If you know who Susan Neville is, lucky you. She is a former professor. She retired last year from 2 years ago, maybe, from Butler. And it's a short story and poetry competition. The prize is $1,000 for each of those genres. It is judged by Kaba Akbar and Pink Lewis, and Booth is great. It is not free to submit, but check out their website and see if it's a good fit for you. Booth is awesome. John still works on Booth, actually, which is crazy. Okay, so to the thing. Each Real Life Revised will have 5 featured readers, and all that means is we really wanted them to be here on the day, but otherwise we also have 5 open micers. So if you get here early enough, next time you can put your name on that list. Every person, whether you're a featured reader or an open micer, only has 5 minutes. I bought this bell for $16, and I will use it when you hit 5 minutes. So I'm gonna test it just so nobody freaks out. I think that's loud. If you don't think that's loud,
the cows are coming.
So that will happen. Okay. So the last thing is, with only 5-minute sets, my hope is that before the readings start and after the readings are done, everybody in this room is a writer. Whether you think you're here to support somebody who's a writer or not, you are a writer. And we're all working in this city and in this state. Please talk to each other. Please eat the food. Talk to people like David, who run 1 million open mics in the city. Talk to people like Jen, who work for Mirror Indie and are doing journalism in the city. I hope you all speak to each other and figure things out outside of this room. I think that's it. Oh yeah, I am going to read a poem to start the night because I'm a poet and that's how it's going to work. It is not my work. I will always, for these series, read works that I just think put good energy into the room. So I'm going to do that. So the first poem for Real Life Revised is from Ellipses by Fady Joudah, who's a Palestinian-American poet. And this book won the Jackson Prize in 2024. And it's very short. But I believe that all poems and most good prose are love poems in some way, even if they feel like hate poems. You're putting a lot of love into them. And I love this poem, Hummingbird, because it's kind of about that. Hummingbird. Who here has not loved like no one else in the world has, before them or since? Your blood wondering what more it can open up in your skin. All the light rushing in like a fool through the tiniest holes, the invisible pores. And then love ended. You returned to yourself. Who here has not lived the passing of all thinking through the language of love? I love that. And I got this at Tomorrow, too. All right, so pressure's on. Our first writer for Real Life Revised is going to be Swain.
That's me. All you really need to know about me is my name is Swain. I also go by Hazel. Either one works. She, her, and I'm transgender. That's what these poems are about. Let's get started. First one is titled Prodigal Son. For this, my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found, and they began to be merry. That's Luke chapter 15, verse 24. In the dream, my family waltzes through an all-white room I know to be heaven. There is a stone corner of the room where I twiddle my thumbs and avoid the joyful eyes of my parents and brother. Cautious, I tap my toe on the white floor, and the room sings my echo. I step into the light as though I'm walking on water, unsure arms held out at my sides, and I pace towards them. They push back from me, the balls of their feet silent against the floor. Their faces are grim, like someone died or lost their job. But I'm here, I plead. I'm right here. I wonder if I really am. I look over my shoulder at the corner, and it gets closer. I can't tell if the room is carrying me or if it's my feet. Thank you. I have a series of poems in here as well that I'm working on about God. God is never the same person in each poem. It's from the idea that hell is other people. What if God was other people? This one's titled God Glares. God glares at my she-her-pin. Asks for his coffee with skim milk, thank you, sir. Someone coughs, mouth uncovered, 3 times. It echoes through the cafe like the smack of a palm against the hood of a car. I smile and say, oh, it's ma'am, actually. And he says, not where I'm from. I guess this is the grace he has to offer today. And no, the floor doesn't swallow me on the spot. Time doesn't stand still. Rage doesn't boil. It simmers. I don't give my ars poetica or argue the validity of trans rights or stand on the counter and shout carpe diem or what the fuck ever. I hand him silence in a paper cup. I thank him for his patronage. I see him again the next day. I let him say it that time. If the last fragment of my past rests on a stranger's tongue, I will let it rot there and perhaps fertilize something new. Thank you. This one is titled At Pride, God Gets Drunk. At Pride, God gets drunk, and my wife and I ditch him under a tree to make out in the shadow of a skyscraper. Her tongue sets the sun between my lips, and she watches my body glow as it seeps through the soles of my shoes into the street. My favorite thing about asphalt is that if you look closely, it sparkles, I gasp, and she pushes my head against the brick wall behind me. I fish a sunbeam from between my teeth while she kisses my neck so softly, even I forget the stubble. She ties a balloon around my waist, asks me to send her pictures of the roof as I float away. She asks me to try to get her in the frame. See how small I can be before I disappear, she tells me. All between kisses, of course. Somewhere below, God snores, belly up, and a bunch of teens with X's sharpied on their hands pick up the trash around him. But for once, and he'd hate me telling you this, I'm not thinking of him. Thank you. Okay, 2 more. Good on time? Okay, cool. This next one is called Waxing My Legs as a Date. It's about kind of early in my transition and the surprising light that can come in a really confusing time. Our soft hiccuping whine, laughter, and our red faces and the pulling, the patches of skin I never knew as smooth, glowing pink below me in the bathtub, you ask if it hurts. I don't know, I say. It did, but we've ripped out so much, and now it's more numb than anything, and all I can do is laugh. My shins are tingling. It's weird. You stroke them up and down, feeling up all of the nothing there. I know the right word is caress, but this is one of the moments where I need to use the wrong words. I need to forget that anything means anything, the same way I need you to ask ready before every yank, the same way I just barely wake up every morning when you grab your keys for work and I beg through a cloud of sleep, kiss me, please. I wish every time you asked me what was on my mind, I could open my mouth and pull out a roll of wax strips. I wish I could sever the last spit string left and wiping my lips tell you, rip it out, rip all of it out. I'm ready. Thank you. The last poem, this one is titled One Day I Will Show God. I'm very proud of it. One day I will show God the photos he hasn't seen yet. The ones of me in makeup, the drunk ones, or the one with my bra strap poking out, the bridesmaid photos of me with my hair in loose curls, the high femme Halloween costumes that turned into normal day wear, all the strange Polaroid puddles of color that bleed onto my fingertips when I sit in my room and remember. You would have guessed this, but in all of them, I am smiling with my teeth. Apparently, that kind of smile is more real, or it shows more of one's real self, but I'm not sold. I think the realist me is one whose gaze I still can't meet in the mirror. But one day when I am brave, God and I will look through these photos. I didn't know you were so happy without me, he'll say. Those times I saw you, I didn't see. I didn't see. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming.
No, Scoot Swain! I was so nervous, and I'm sure Scoot was too, but I was so nervous that I forgot to do the really cool thing that we're doing, which is book and art recommendations from all of our featured readers and artists so that you get to understand some of where they're coming from. Scoot's book art recommendation is Vivian's Ghost by Hal Shreve. All she wrote was very good, so I think that means you should check out Vivian's Ghost by Hal Shreve. Next is going to be a prose writer, Logan Taylor. Logan Taylor's book art recommendation is read Worm, and Worm is a 400 million word online web serial, and it is free and good. So look up Worm and read it. Go ahead, Logan Taylor.
Hello, everyone. I have time to do a little introduction because the thing I'm reading is really short because I'm terrified of that bell. I think this is one of the... I mostly write fiction, but this is a nonfiction piece that I wrote for a class, and I think it's one of those times where you realize as a writer that sometimes getting writing prompts is a good thing. It pushes you to write something that you wouldn't write otherwise. So this is Portrait of Childhood and Forgotten Water. Winter. Waterfront Park in New Albany, Indiana plays host to endless sledding. Smooth metal and plastic discs, inflated tubes stuffed with siblings, 40-gallon black garbage bags filled with wide, flat pieces of cardboard. That was me. The flood wall protects New Albany from the temperamental rise of the Ohio River, but its primary function is as a long, flat surface to race across on snowy days. As children, we forget that we pitch headlong toward the river, that only a small group of trees on the bank would stop us if we gained enough speed. The ice-slick jungle gym of the playground lies unused, impossible to grip in gloves. No shows play in the nearby concrete amphitheater. We laugh on the way down and gulp cold, heavy breaths on the long climb back to the top. Laugh and breathe. Laugh and breathe. Spring. Flocks of third graders from all around the county are bussed in to see the Scribner House, the oldest house in town. Guides inform us of the house's history, of its building by New Albany's founders, who named their stolen land for the stolen land they loved back home. That part of history is ignored in favor of a ghost story. It keeps our eyes off the river the house overlooks, keeps our minds from thoughts of the native people who once relied on its waters. The Daughters of the American Revolution, who care for this place, limit their membership to people who can track their lineage to someone who fought for America in the Revolutionary War. The chapter of the DAR that maintains the Scribner House is named for the indigenous Piankeshaw tribe. They don't say these two things next to each other. What they do say, us children forget before year's end. We go on forgetting. Summer. Fun fact, the Ohio River Valley is one of the only non-coastal areas in the continental United States that can reach 100% humidity. Every week at Waterfront Park, crowds gather for Waterfront Wednesday to hear live music, buy out-of-season fair food, and sweat together. The sun sets an hour into the event, and people finally can dance. We pour bottled water down our throats and all over our faces and miss the garbage can when we throw them away. Speakers pulse with local acts, trios of ukulele-wielding women in sundresses, or, on the last Wednesday of the summer, a larger band that performs alongside an elaborate puppet show. The crowd aches with heat, even in the dark, flicking sweat from limbs and strands of hair in a noble effort to forget that the cold and bare are coming. We don't swim to cool off. The water is right there, and we don't swim. Fall. The school buses roam the early morning, gorging themselves on children and teens. They stalk subdivisions further out and then creep along not quite suburban streets nearer the schools, nearer the burned-down Steinert's bar across from the cemetery on Charlestown Road. I ride each morning, carless, headphones in to block out top 40 singles on the bus radio. In classes where I'm bored, I go to the teacher's bookshelf and pick out something to read. A fantasy novel, a book of essays, a large illustrated volume on the history of New Albany post-colonization. It begins with the Scribners and laments the slow dying of their steamboat trade, the vampiric exchange in which New Albany lost its mass to Louisville, the city across the Ohio River with a more diversified industrial portfolio. Its pages are an attempted eulogy for the forgotten water. I read and think that I know more than others, that I know the history of the land I was born on. I am wrong, but as a child, I think it's enough to try and remember. I think it's enough. I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Logan. Next up, we have another prose writer. I hate saying that because what if they do a poem like just for this? But anyway, another prose writer in theory, whose book art recommendation is Voodoo Stew by Darius James. And you might want to take his recommendation very seriously because Taylor Lewandowski is a very good book curator, is how I feel about that. Taylor.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Sam and John, for doing this. I appreciate it. Okay, so this is a novel excerpt, so there's a little bit of, it's in the beginning, but I'll just give you a little bit of context real fast. The protagonist is on a road trip going to West Virginia kind of impulsively and trying to find these paintings in this West Virginia town from this artist that he found out about as a teenager. So it's kind of giving that background information. So I'll just go into this. I don't know why I'm explaining this, but whatever. All right, here we go. I feel a knot in my chest. My palms are sweaty. I pick at the end of my t-shirt. I want to re-enter the fantasy of my teenage years. I want to once again find Charles A. Owens, an artist no one knows, a legacy forgotten, disappeared, obscured. It begins in a dusty bookstore. I'm 15, awkward, shy, obnoxious. I'm still in Hannah, Indiana, the first electrically lighted city in the world. It resides on the Wabash River. It's below sea level, walled in by limestone bluffs, the first place I call home. It's surrounded by cash crops, far-out roads with dilapidated homes populated by Velveeta-obsessed troglodytes with strenuous attitudes or stoic men in dark blue Wranglers and church-going women hovering over pristine gardens. The town has not yet succumbed to all-out Trumpism, but retains the usual emotionalist, deeply religious Hoosier types. The downtown is funded by two millionaires from a water meter factory and an HVAC company. They have rehabilitated entire blocks to resemble 50s splendor in contrast to other neighboring towns with empty storefronts and distressed facades. Cancerous men and women with Vera Bradley bags walk through the streets between meth-addled lunatics whistling Kid Rock tunes. Hannah always attracted the eccentric, the unusual, and Silas Green, the sole proprietor of the Reading Room Books, was the king with his chain-smoking tendency and ruthless monologues that surprised tourists and penchant to resist any town boosterism to erase the historical uniqueness of a town like Hannah. Sometimes I wonder why he lived here, but I also ask myself this question, even though I was born here against my will like everyone else. I did have a choice, but Silas did, and thank God he lived in Hannah, because every day after school I visited his bookstore. I browsed the shelves for cheap paperbacks. I listened to his visitors, farmers obsessed with Charles Dickens, hitchhiking juggalos trying to prove their hike to Muncie by the remaining rubber on their Chuck Taylors, a man with greasy hair with nicotine-stained fingers talking about the Miami tribe. The bookstore felt alive, special, authentic. I shared my obsession with Tennessee Williams, and Silas understood. Tennessee Williams consumed me, a world separate from my reality of starry-eyed Christians eating lunch at corporate chains, watching football games and Hallmark fantasy. But who am I to judge? I oscillate between disgust, lethargy. It doesn't matter. I set it aside. I fall in love with Blanche, Chance Wayne, Val Xavier, Reverend Shannon, Rick Pullett, Joanne Woodward as Carol and the fugitive kind. Wandering from juke joint to juke joint. You ever hear the dead people talking? She asked Marlon Brando in a cemetery. They chatter away like birds here on Wissateria Hill. All they can say is one word, and that word is live. Live, live, live. That's all they know. It's the only advice they can give. It's simple. It's a very simple instruction. Maybe it isn't understanding. My relationship with Tennessee Williams is a physical ailment, a spiritual crossing, a subterranean acknowledgement. I try to hold it in language, but it slips through. I once described it as lyrical, but that isn't accurate, much too vague. One day I entered the bookstore and Silas was slouched over his Dell desktop, chain smoking with hair slicked back, glasses perched on his nose. He had a biography of Tennessee Williams on the counter. I flipped to the glossy photos. He lit another cigarette and said, "My best friend took that photo," pointing to Tennessee Williams and Gore Vidal leaning against a Jeep and roll. "What do you mean, your best dead friend?" Thank you.
Oh, I don't know. I think this reading series was a good idea. Thank you, Taylor. All right, so I'm very excited about our next poet. I'm excited about everybody. This is the best idea ever. Me and John are geniuses. Thank you for being here. So the next poet slash prose writer slash human being tonight is going to be Damon Jones. Damon does have stickers that are free. Oh, I'm sorry. That's my butt going off. I apologize. Damon Jones has stickers at the table where the open mic signups were. They are free and or by donation, and they are art that he made, visual art that he made. And Damon's book or art recommendation is Duke Ellington, Max Roach, and Charlie Mingus, Money Jungle. Album is An Amazing Ride. Thank you, Damon. Everybody give it up.
I do spoken word, so that's what I'm going to do today. And try to not hit the mic in the process. The other recommendation is The Color Purple, if you haven't seen it. Both, honestly. And, of course, the book. This is Golden Bird's song. It's my mentor's favorite poem. There is potent spirit hidden in those old tombs. In those cold rooms under snow tombs, gold blooms like prophecies perspiring through glistening skin like soul food. I will devour you. Like a cop with his knee on your spine, yelling at you, "Don't move," I will tower you. Like a whimsical god watching you from the side while fighting a mob taunting you, saying, "Don't lose," I will shower you. With pain, with fire, with hell. With pain, with fire, with hell, with pain, with fire, with hell, let the serpent's tongue hiss. The horrors of man to the masses' delight. Rappers would like for you to believe that we've mastered our pride, but work crafted after the devil's laughter's a lie. We're all after the high until these ugly monsters ink all over our ever after, disguised as names that never mattered and pen strokes, the prize of flames that never shattered the rich folks. It's easy to pretend, though, that all of my friends don't understand my woes and then croak, a crow to the wolves and then quote under rain that would burn holes into dreams, blundered, plundered for every strong will and plunged to the depths in the summer. When blood boils, crippling emotions shall rise like geysers shooting to the skies. Don't be so heavy-hearted. You'll sink to the bottom and fry. Your circuitry sunk to the floor of the Atlantic Ocean. I drown your code out with death threats and potent potions flowing with the hope of floating home, yet never knowing that. Boy, you are anchored to this place. And if you ever try to fly away from me again, 23 hours a day, I will lock you in that cage. And if you ever try to fly away from me again, I will clip your wings. It seems that you don't understand. This is your home away from home now, but this is not your land. No, this is my land, and you shall not walk on the grass. That is for the bitches. And my sweet thing loves a well-kept lawn for her to shit on. Now you shall take the dirt path that'll only hurt fast if you rush your ass. Now just get out of my face and run along. So I'll run a long way back to the brush where I heard a song from lips sweet as sugar like a thunderstorm. She softly belted the sounds of home, glowing red, dressed in an undertone of joy. Medusa seduced the sin of every man that lurked under the surface, but whoo, was it even worth it, boy? She wasn't singing to you, she was singing the blues of the girl with the hidden smile and the dragon tattoo, without a seeming hope in the world but the seams in the shoes of Mister, would you free me? My dues are all a fairy tale once I let my skin shine like the gleaming of truth. Won't you let your love smile like the gleaming of truth? Won't you let your heart open, let the blessings come through? I've got a message for you, I've got a message for you. Oh, sister, you've been on my mind. Sister, I think it's about that time that you and Mr. Find the light that shines inside. Thank you. That's Golden Bird. I yield my time.
I only know Damon from his day job, so that was incredible. Thank you. All right, next human being, writer, etc. up is going to be David Strange, and David's one-sentence book and art recommendation is North Woods by Daniel Mason.
That's what I'm reading now, and then I was on the spot, so I'm like, but no, it's good. I recommend it. I write short poetry, so I'm going to use a minute here to talk about my reading series that I do. I host it every month at Chatterbox. It's called Listen Please. It started at Dream Palace, so it started at Taylor's Bookstore. The next one's going to be November 13th, so every second Thursday. It's the poet Claire Walters, Matt Davis, and then Michael Collins. So 6 to 7:30 at Chatterbox, November 13th. Yes, woo. I do more things too, but I only have 5 minutes. This poem's titled, On an Elevator. I close my eyes and I'm sitting in a field on a wooden fence. One that you can't remember what it was built to keep in. One that a grandfather started but time wouldn't let him finish. I take a breath and a thunderstorm looms in the distance, the lightning brightening an increasingly darker sky. The warm breeze tells that summer is still here, but the chill in the late evening air leaves a reminder that even this warmth will never stay. I open my eyes at the sound of a bell as an elevator door opens. I step out onto the pavement among the sounds of people and traffic, and for a moment, I think I can hear the wind moving through the I think I can hear the wind blowing through the fields back home. Thank you. My next poem is titled When I Die. I hope it smells of honeysuckle when I die, ever so faintly in the air, brought in on a cool breeze and gone just as quickly as I am. I hope they bury me in Bramble, the only place I could ever be from, and in for me where my father began. I hope they bury me in Fountain Square and Spenard, where I began to find myself just for a moment. I hope they bury me where you can see rolling hills and have no idea what might be beyond them. And I hope you smile thinking about what might be. I hope it smells of honeysuckle when I die. Thank you. My last poem, also if you are a writer, which I know all y'all are here, and you want to read at my series, let me know. I forgot, I need to find 3 people a month for 12 months. Jenny has done it before. I think Kayla is here, Kayla Bledsoe. Hi. Hey, Kayla. Oh, yeah, Kayla's done it before, too. Yeah, please talk to me. This poem is about my cat. It's titled The Greek Goddess of Night. The cat perches on the back of the couch, the one in the loft, looking down and out to an alley where people own their garages, not just live above one like we do. I wonder how much of the world has seen her stretching, elongating, unbending her muscles to get some of the tension out. She has no need for the tension any longer. A farm cat with the luxury of living a life full of leisure, days spent finding more wonder in a fluttering snowflake than any of the movement made by the people and pets walking by outside. Do those people react the same way I do when seeing a cat in the window? Do they wonder, like I do, about the world inside that space? Thank you.
Yes, use the mic time to talk about other things going on in the city. Thank you, David. All right, now speaking of Jennifer DelGadillo, Jennifer's recommendation tonight is The Underdogs by Azuela. Everybody?
It's a book about Mexican revolutionaries stealing things. This is an excerpt from a short story called The Interpreter. The implications of saying yes to interpreting became more clear for Constanza when she realized the job came with an element of anatomical surprise for the medically untrained. For example, she had never looked at someone's rectum so closely, and the experience caused Constanza to feel a combination of alarm and secondhand embarrassment, but also curiosity. The exam room was very small, so Constanza couldn't turn away or give the patient any privacy. While Dr. Giles probed her, in fact, she was discouraged from looking away, and the intimacy of the experience went beyond lurking into the woman's crevices. The conversation Constanza found herself repeating was intimate as well, with details of the woman's bowel movements, the history of her menses and eventual menopause, and then the minutiae of her diet. After Dr. Gauss peeled the latex gloves off and tossed them in the bin, he pulled out a pen from his lab coat pocket and then scribbled something on the patient's chart. He looked up and announced there wasn't much that was wrong with the patient and gave the woman a bottle of Miralax with a recommendation to drink more water and eat more fiber. Constanza couldn't help projecting her own feelings, that she would have had what she would have felt if she had been in that woman's shoes. She would have felt humiliated had she gone through that experience. Getting old, from what she gathered, was already a portal for all sorts of indignities. Losing one's trust in one's intestines and then having some diploma man stick his finger up her ass, all to be told that there's nothing wrong, had to be a terrible kind of time, she thought. But the woman's face was serene. Holding her bottle of Miralax, once dressed, the woman smiled and said thank you in English as best she could with a thick accent. When they were both outside Dr. Gao's office, the patient asked Constanza in Spanish if she was studying to be a doctor. Constanza explained that she was studying to be an artist, but had found herself bilingual in the right place at the right time. You'll never eat, she told her. Artists don't make money. Make sure you marry a rich man, the woman laughed. Even if the bottom line was constipation, that first appointment was successful nonetheless. Dr. Giles felt very pleased with Constanza's work and disposition, and he sent a good recommendation to the Metropolitan Medical Society for her to continue interpreting. This was a big relief for her cousin Demetrio, who was finding himself with more appointments than he could tolerate, and was glad to pass on the less medically interesting appointments, podiatry sessions, mole removals, ophthalmology exams, and routine breast and gynecology appointments. At school, Constanza's skills had improved as well, earning $25 an hour as opposed to the $9 she made at the grocery store. It meant that Constanza didn't have to work as much, so she left her job at the grocery store and spent her free time capturing the negative space between the branches of trees with charcoal. She did this because she believed that the process of inversion led to insights in defining shapes that can sometimes boggle the mind by the perceived intangibility of their abstraction, such as in the case of the tree bark. Although gestural shapes would have done the trick too, Constanza preferred specifics. When she was done in her bedroom, she sat in front of her mirror, naked, and made drawings that she never showed to anyone. Those drawings were very specific as well. The day Constanza met her patient Moises, the patient she eventually crossed many lines with, she had already been looking forward to the appointment. It was an endoscopy at the hospital, which was the type of appointment that would have typically been covered by Demetrio. But on that day, he was busy interpreting for a possible testicular tumor. When he walked in and introduced himself, Constanza saw that Moises was much younger than the other Metropolitan Medical Society patients. If she were to draw a sketch of his face, she would have started by drawing a rectangle to lay out and carve out the shape of his head, which was massive, with black straight hair and a rat tail running down his neck. In her figure drawing classes, she understood that on average, a human head is 6 to 7.5 human heads, but Moises seemed as tall as 5. He was stocky and muscular. By then, Constanza was already used to patients telling her intimate details about their lives while waiting to be seen by a medical professional. She'd seen blood clots and thyroid biopsies and lactating breasts from pituitary gland tumors. She'd seen stitches around the cornea and many more rectums. She had learned the names of her patients and their stories.
Oh, yeah. With me today, right at the 5-minute mark. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I wasn't going to plug stuff that people are doing because it was like equitable and whatever. Jennifer DelGadillo has an incredible short story out in narrative right now called Hidalgo. And if you have the chance, please read that. And Taylor has a book out as well that's critical essays that are gorgeous. All right, next up, J.D. Amick. J.D. has a one-sentence book art and recommendation that is really tiny. I know, I did it on purpose. I think it is How Far the Light Reaches by Sabrina Imbler. Aha! And it is an essay collection on being mixed race, queer. Oh, he went on to the back. On being mixed race, queer, non-binary person in Southern California. So everybody give it up for J.D. Amick.
All right, I've only got 2 poems, so I feel like I can do a tiny bit of preamble. I am the son of a Mexican immigrant who has fallen down the far-right rabbit hole, and so I've been writing a series of poems trying to grapple with that, and they're all titled, In the Dream, My Mother is Still Mexican. In the dream, my mother is still Mexican, and when I tell her I am afraid, she says, me too, because only in my dream is she also afraid. And when I tell her that I want to go and put my body between the new, old secret police and people that look like us and weren't born here like her, or were like me, and she says, I know, but then who will step in front of me? Because this is a dream, she is still Mexican, and she is also afraid. And when I show her the first ever bumper sticker I've purchased to christen my new car that says Chinga la Migra, and a brand new Mexican flag to drape over my balcony, these talismans, a compromise, she grabs my shoulders and pulls me into a hug, and through tear-soaked spasms she breathes into my neck. Cuidado, thank you, I love you, cuidado. ICE agents, beware. You don't know about her small prayer now swimming silently through my veins. But then I wake up, meek and small in my sheets and blanket, no blessings, just a dream, hoping that is enough protection in the world outside my bed against all its masked faces and grasping hands. I wrote the second piece in the middle of the first Trump presidency about the cruelty of the immigration system in this country that had existed and expanded in the Obama administration and the Bush administration and the administrations before that, that expanded under Biden and has metastasized even further horrifically under the second Trump administration. Broken highboon with 2 flus. In my childhood bed, foam mattress topper, blankets on blankets, I lay with a 103.7 fever. I had a mother, have a mother. She makes me soup, picks me up from college. I went to college. She checks my temperature and makes sure I drink Gatorade. I only have the flu. I only had the flu, but this boy died of the flu, is dying of the flu. He walks, dying from Guatemala with the flu in May, and we, the public, get, oh God, the video of him convulsing in his cage, cold lips kissing the concrete floor of America so far below my own mattress, several months later. I don't have poetry for this, for these children who died, who are dying. I have no poetry for children who are dying because the children are not dying. These brown children are not dying. They are killed. They are being murdered. No, they are not merely objects in the cage of the sentence diagram, devoid of perpetrator, subject, children, verb, are, modifier, being, modifier, murdered, as in the children's state of being is murdered, dead, cause unknown. Subject, ICE and, the police and, the government, verb are, modifier, murdering, object, children, modifier, these, as in the foundations of this country and those that uphold them are actively killing these children. I still have no poetry. A child writhes in feverish torment on the floor of a metal and concrete cage. In a final moment of lucidity, he stands, walks to the toilet, collapses before the seat. 4 hours are cut from the videotape, or someone cuts 4 hours from the videotape. Either way, the subject of the sentence unknown. His child cellmate awakens to find his body cold as the concrete, nearly as gray. He calls to the Border Patrol guard, who enters with a single medical personnel. They administer a solitary chest compression, blood gone hard like Verano dirt. Thank you.
Thank you, JD. Our next reader for the night is this time, 5 o'clock time. Our next reader is going to be Imani Lehté, and their book art recommendation is Belly of the Beast by Deshawn Harrison. Is that correct? Yeah. All right, everybody clap a lot for Imani.
Hello. I got 2 poems here for you. All right. This one is new shit. Okay. It's titled, Tell Them I Was Happy When the System Killed Me. Tell them how the system killed me in my prime, from the inside out. Dug into every compartment of my heart, mind, and soul, and desecrated all that is sacred within me. Tell them about the art I made as my mind slowly turned to mush, the now melted goo of my mind, body, and spirit connection. Tell them how revolutionary words came out of my mouth as my joints and ligaments can no longer hold me from the years of wear and tear. Tell them how I sang songs of joy before the screams they caused me at night tore my vocal cords and ruined every vibratic sense of joy I had. Tell them how I wrote, hands trembling from pain, between down and worn from all the work I did, unknown and unpraised. Here lies a soul taken far too young, not by the insects of depression and anxiety they placed to crawl around in my mind, not by the system they shaped to make my brain chemistry feel like an attack against me, not the religious trauma and PTSD and bodily illness that occurred due to life circumstances. No, my gravestone will show that they killed my body to kill my soul. Wore out each bit of me until I could not move, broke down every piece of my physical being to make sure I felt powerless in the end. Took my hands for making, my feet for walking, my mind melted by the label of crazy, my knees for kneeling in prayer and desperation, my elbows for knocking your shit back if I need to, my belly, my chest, my hair, my thighs, my calves, my arms all slowly taken with no sign of repair. Tell them how the system killed me in my prime space of joy, and my most creative and my biggest love for community and real change. Tell them how I neglected my body in the name of liberation and growth and change, not knowing how we only get one body and that the system also attacks us through disability and inaccessibility. Tell them how they took away my great auntie's basketball skills when she got lupus and struggled with many illnesses for the rest of her life. Tell them how my grandma had ovarian cancer and no one knew until she passed this May. Tell them how my mom caught her cancer just before it was fatal. How my other grandma was deemed healthy at the end of her life and died 3 days after going to the hospital for the first time in several decades. Tell them how my uncle took his last breath at home after his lungs could no longer breathe life into who he knew himself to be. Tell them how my great uncle never got the education he deserved because of being Black and disabled. Tell them how my great grandmother lived a good part of her life blind due to the lack of proper medical care for Black folks. Tell them that I tried my damnedest to not let the system kill my body the way that I've seen both sides of my family endure for just their generations and stories that I know of. I wonder how many lives were tarnished early because we thought we could intellectualize our way out of oppression. Press through and work hard and community our way out of sitting our asses down, demanding the care that we need, listening to our bodies, taking breaks, lying down, saying no, and paying attention to our pain. You can't think away what stress and trauma does to your body. Only rest, renewal, and healing-centered care will do that. Okay. Thank you. All right. I'm going to be real quick with this next one. This one is short. Okay. This is called My Everyday Utopia. I want to do everything, but no time because job. But job give money. But money run out. And it run out because everything expensive. Everything expensive because inflation to exploitation. Inflation to exploitation because of greed and desire for power. Greed and desire for power because emotionally unfed and feel powerless inside. Emotionally unfed and feel powerless inside because system crush hope, dream, and emotion on the way to the top. System crush hope, dream, and emotion on the way to the top because can't exploit and inflate and feel bad for others or see future for self. Can't feel bad for others or see future for self because system did the same thing on the way to the top as it does does on the way to the bottom. System do same thing on the way up as it does on the way down, because if rich and poor see eye to eye when separated by what system thinks is valuable, then rich and poor may share and prevent crushed hopes, dreams, and emotions, which heals emotionally unfed and powerless inside wounds, which eliminates the need for greed and desire for power, which means no inflation or exploitation, which means things are less expensive, which means no need for money, which means no need for job, which means now I can do everything. Wrong. We all got work tomorrow. So, in the same vein as my elder, Miss Nikki Giovanni, I remember to not work hard at what I hate while I'm waiting for better. I rest in what is. I hope for what will be. I pray for a new job and some more goddamn money. Thank you.
That was such a ride. Thank you. All right, our last reader of the night. And if you're looking at the clock, that means that everybody is going to have like 45 minutes to hang out and get to know each other and ask about the work that was just read and all of those things. So please do that. Our last reader of the night is going to be Cayden. And their one-sentence book and art recommendation is The Honey Bus by Meredith May. Everybody give it up for Cayden, please.
Hello. I said I was not going to read about this person anymore, but I'm going to read about this person again. We're going to start with this really short one called Swimming Pools. How shallow must have your feelings been for me to one day wake up and decide you're no longer bothered by my absence? Meanwhile, I'm still haunted by you on my drives past exit signs for memories of camping with you, by songs we sang together, our off-key voices harmonizing, by the feeling of your kiss still lingering on my lips like your coffee order lingering in my mind whenever I visit my neighborhood coffee shop. Try to swan dive into your feelings and get a concussion. Drop into mine and you'll never reach the bottom. Okay. Thank you. And this one is called Ode to the Bastard Who Created Facebook Memories. A year ago yesterday marked 6 months since we had started dating. The Facebook post caption read, 6 months since my life got a little brighter. 6 months of adventures and exploring new places. What Facebook doesn't know is that 10 months ago you ended things. A year ago today, we were sitting next to a crackling fire, drinking hot chocolate, reading stories from the books we had just bought in my home state that I was excited to show to you. A year ago today, I got to teach you more about Mothman, the lore from where I'm from. A year ago today, you met my grandparents and my nephews. Little did they know that in 2 months' time, they'd be asking me how you are, and I'd have to fight back tears and lie and say fine, because I didn't want to tell them that you broke up with me. A year ago today, we were cozied up, getting ready for a 50-degree night in a tent in the middle of the woods, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. A year ago today, we were on our third camping trip. Little did I know it would be the last one we would go on together, the last one that I would go on. Little did I know that in 2 months' time, I would get a tent for Christmas that would still be sitting in a box in my storage unit 10 months later. A year ago today, we were laughing and hiking and camping and holding hands and loving each other. Today, we're barely speaking. We're in the same city, finally, but farther apart than ever. Okay, and then this last one isn't really about anything, but I wrote it at like 1 a.m., so that's probably why. I lay on the couch trying to fall asleep instead of on my bed where a mountain of laundry waits for me, threatens to bury me alive. And I can't tell if the thumping I hear is my heart pounding or the bass line of music being played downstairs by my nameless neighbor I've never met. I will my mind to rest and let me rest at ease. I think of recent poetry I've written and recent poets I've met and talked to, and lines to add to my poems swirl in my head. So instead of sleep, instead of dreams, I get up to write poetic somethings. Thank you.
And that's 10. So that's it. Everybody go home. No, just kidding. There's so much food. And thank you to Butler MFA in creative writing for providing all of that food. So huge shout out to Butler. We are currently in the Indiana Humanities house. So for folks who have not been here before, this is the place. John and I had a dream and we said, can we have the venue for free? And they said yes. Indiana Humanities is great. So get involved with them. What else? Oh, our next show, and I can release the features. Our next show, November 9th. So I think moving forward, we will be second Sundays at 4 p.m., just like this. And it's going to be Mitchell L.H. Douglas, Jane Ristine Hickson, Vinnie Corsaro, and 2 other poets. And then perhaps you. If you get here early, perhaps you. Thank you so much. Please talk to each other. And thank you for coming, truly. That's it.
My name is Megan Telligman, and I am Director of Programs at Indiana Humanities. And today we are at the first installment of Real Life Revised here at the Nicholson House in Indianapolis. Indiana Humanities has been around for 53 years. We are a statewide nonprofit, and we say in short form that we encourage Hoosiers to think, read, and talk. And we do that in a variety of ways. We're a grant maker. We provide humanities-based programs all over the state and support for organizations that do this type of work. And so by this type of work, I mean programming about history, literature, philosophy, and ethics, civics, all those good humanities disciplines. We are very lucky. We've been housed in the Nicholson House on Delaware St in downtown Indianapolis since the 1980s. It is the historic home of the author Meredith Nicholson and his family, so we are really carrying forth the mission of the house by, hosting reading series. So Meredith Nicholson, he was a very prolific and famous author in the early 1900s and wrote many of his most famous novels in this house. And today we provide space for authors and writers to come together and share their work and host workshops and series like what we heard tonight.
This has been Real Life Revised, a series of readings with Indiana writers, produced by Sam Ferrante and John Strauss, in partnership with Indiana Humanities, the Butler MFA in Creative Writing, Booth Magazine, and WQRT Radio, part of the Garfield Park creative community from Big Car Collaborative.